You know, the conventional wisdom over calling Kamala Harris a DEI hire is that it's a bad thing, it's obnoxious, it's terrible, it's racist, it's sexist, it's awful. The left flies off the handle. Democrats lose their minds when anybody calls Kamala Harris a DEI hire. In fact, Kent from Texas sends me a text today that says, you got to shy away from calling Kamala a DEI hire because women who are on the fence will think, oh, you think the only way a woman can be president is because of DEI? No wonder you chose a white guy for VP. Now, I get that conventional wisdom, but I saw a column in the Washington Examiner earlier today by Mike Gonzalez, who raises a very interesting question, and that is, why shouldn't the left be happy about Kamala in the position she's in because of the color of her skin? Why not? Own it. Brag on it. Take complete acceptance that the reason she's there is because she's a black woman. Now, if you have any doubt about that, let me take you back to an interview that Al Sharpton gave to Joe Biden back in 2020 on MSNBC.
You and I have talked. You know that I prefer a black female. You've committed to a woman. You've committed to a woman, a black woman, to the Supreme Court. I won't press you on that because you've given it to a committee. But for the record, we have had that discussion, and you listened and said you're going to make the decision after the committee raises it. And credible leaders, Melanie Campbell of the Black Women's Roundtable and others have raised it. And part of it, I think, is the sensitivity of black women have to deal with sexism and racism.
So there's Al Sharpton saying, you listened to us, Joe Biden. You said you'd pick a black woman. He did. DEI, in its very foundation, the heart of DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. You choose people because of their race, ethnicity, or sex. You say, look, we want a country that looks like us. And Kamala Harris looks like us, I guess. That's the argument. So why not own it? Why not embrace it? I'm a little conflicted on this issue. Because earlier in the week I thought, yeah, let's stay away from it. Let's not insult. I mean, let me ask women, are you insulted when you hear somebody call Kamala Harris a DEI hire? Does that rub you the wrong way? Do you say what Kent thinks you'll say from Texas when he texted me? Women will say, oh, you think the only way a woman can make it to the White House is because of DEI? Of course, we're not saying that. We're saying that's the way this woman made it to the Oval Office. This particular lady who was picked by Joe Biden because of her race and her gender. He said it. He bragged on it. Al Sharpton thanked him. That was a big deal. We got to have a woman of color. Well, now we got a woman of color who's trying to become the 47th president of the United States of America. So, look, I'm not always the smartest guy in the room. I like to think I am, but I know I'm not. But I do know I've got the smartest audience in America. And this is a caller-driven show. Our number is 800-655-MIKE. Fridays at this time, always a little struggle sometimes with phone calls. So blow my doors open with your phone calls here in the Relief Factor Studios. Tell me if you think it's a mistake to accurately refer to, and it is accurate, to call Kamala Harris a DEI hire. She was chosen because of her skin color and her gender, period. Now, is that a mistake? Should we just stick to her record, stick to her failed border policy as the border czar, which she was, stick to her embrace of electric vehicle mandates, stick to all of her disastrous economic policies? What's the right way to handle Kamala Harris? 800-655-MIKE. Let's put your voice front and center.
Mike Gallagher.
I always hate it when I can look up at the screen and see all the callers on hold, and the one caller I want to take hangs up. Lopez on line 1, I think from Houston, was calling in to say, well, wasn't Kamala Harris selected because she was Biden's vice president? not because of her skin color. And I wanted to patiently and gently explain to Lopez, I'm not saying she's picked now because she's a DEI hire. She got the job as vice president because she was a DEI hire by Joe Biden's own admission, by the media's own explanation. Joe Biden promised, and maybe people forget this. I guess Lopez forgot that Biden promised to pick a black woman to be his vice presidential running mate. And he did. So, look, her record is enough. And I do wonder about sort of getting distracted by the DEI stuff. But let's accept something. DEI, all the insanity of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which has experienced a major pushback from Americans, all of that is baked into the cake. And I think if we completely avoid the subject, we're helping Kamala Harris. They want you to forget that she was in the job in the first place because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't want you to remember that, just like they don't want you to they don't want you to remember that she was the border czar. Just like they don't want you to remember that she donated and supported the Minnesota fund that bailed out violent criminals who were destroying cities. They're memory holing us. They want to change who she is. And they cannot escape the fact that she got the job as vice president of the United States because of DEI. And I'm starting to think we shouldn't ignore that. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's find out what you think. We'll start with Greg in Dayton, Ohio. Hey, Greg, welcome. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mike, how's it going? I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. What do you think?
So, well, I think that what the left truly wants is for us to handle Kamala Harris the way they tell us that we can. If it's convenient for their narrative, DEI is a great thing, and we can tout her as a DEI hire. But if they want to tout her on her merits and her record, then that's how we have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you just nailed it. Maybe they want us to avoid the DEI controversy and hope that we'll just focus on, the issues and the policy. But I think the DEI thing has a pretty powerful punch, Greg.
I believe so, too. And if that's what they want us to focus on, then that's what they're going to tout is her DEI hire and how successful that initiative is. And then when it's like, oh, no, we don't want to focus on DEI. We want you to focus on her merits and the fact that she's the best qualified candidate for the position.
Exactly. I think that's a very compelling argument. I'm starting to think we can't avoid it. I don't know that you can ignore this, especially because Greg's right. We know the left is obsessed with race. Everything is race to them. Race, everything. They are fixated on race and racial unrest and strife and conflict in this country. And as a result, DEI became a thing. Now that DEI is a thing, well, it's the thing that got her to the vice presidency. We're supposed to drop that now? 800-655-Mike. Ann is in Pennsylvania. Hi, Ann. Welcome. How are you today?
Hi, Mike. I'm doing well.
Good to hear it.
Thank you.
Good.
I don't think we should focus on DEI. I think we should focus on the record. VPs are picked for their appeal to a certain demographic, and she and Biden won in 2020. She failed miserably, and
you think the record's enough? The record should be enough.
Joe Biden's white, and he failed.
Yeah. So her record. So you think the record is enough? Go after her on her record.
Her horrible record should be enough because, although I know it's not, the left will misconstrue it.
Sure. I get that. Well, they can misconstrue everything. I mean, they don't misconstrue. They lie. They're lying about everything about her record. They're pretending that the border problem isn't her catastrophic fault. They are actually trying to make the case that she wasn't in charge of the border. And, thankfully, there's enough evidence that we all know that she was. Here's what I would say to your argument, though. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. And I believe it's inevitable that why she is in the position she's in which is a result of DEI, is part of the record. I'm with you. We need to hammer her on, Trump needs to go after her on the illegal immigration debacle, on her radicalism. She is a far left San Francisco Democrat. That's who she is. She's already running into the arms of the electric vehicle mandate. Can't wait for the day that they tell you can't drive a gas-powered automobile. I think her goal is 2035. Not that far away. The record is plenty, but I would argue DEI is part of the record. Al Sharpton can't have it both ways. Race hustlers like Sharpton can't have it both. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't brag about Kamala Harris as a DEI hire in 2020 and then turn around and complain about it when we've observed it in 2024 as she's trying to beat Trump for the presidency. Incidentally, I'm still not sure that she's going to be the candidate. Now, take it from Nostradamus. I was right about Biden all along, wasn't I? If the polling doesn't get better for her, I'm not sure they won't make a switcheroo in Chicago at the Democrat National Convention on August 19th. I don't know that that's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Kamala Harris. The polling will tell the tale. Steve's in Houston, Texas. Hey, Steve, welcome aboard.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
Democrats made it very clear, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, they made it very clear they pick who they want. Back when Obama and Hillary had that falling out and she wouldn't receive, whatever you call it, accede, whatever, she didn't want to come out and talk.
Right.
They went in and had that meeting that day, and they come out that meeting on TV, and Nancy Pelosi said, Barack is going to take it this time, but next time, Hillary is our girl. So in other words, forget voting, it's what we say. And Kamala Harris is no Condoleezza Rice. If Trump would have took Condoleezza Rice, somehow got her back in there,
yep,
it would have been a shoo-in.
But a big game changer. It'd be an absolute game changer.
And do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
Quit going to Al Sharpton. He can't even go to the black communities most of the time.
I know.
Al Sharpton is a sellout. Everybody already know he's on the take.
Well, it's very important. I think you make a really interesting and intriguing observation, and one that has to resonate. Look, you got to own. You can't cherry pick when you think DEI is to your advantage. If you're going to give somebody, and incidentally, Kamala Harris is a constant reminder of what a failure hiring somebody based on their skin color or their gender actually is. This is why major companies are starting to distance themselves from the DEI initiatives. Huge companies are saying, it backfires, it doesn't work. And of course, inevitably, you don't have the best person for the job. Do you honestly think Kamala Harris was the best person for the job? You think that's why Joe Biden picked her? He promised to pick a black woman. So again, we can walk and chew gum. We don't need to be obsessed with it. We don't need to be fixated on it, but we shouldn't avoid it either. You know, a lot of people blame Trump's victory in 2016 over the fact that, like it or not, a lot of Americans are just not ready for a female commander-in-chief. Now, I bring this up a little bit gingerly because I know how volatile an issue like this can be. And I say this as a guy who's been surrounded by strong women, including my wife, forever. I've worked with strong women. I've worked for strong women. Believe me, I'm not at all intimidated by or in disagreement with strong women being able to be in a position of leadership. But this is a factor. Would America be ready to elect a female president? I know the left would like us to think that we're in nirvana of DEI. We are, oh gosh, we're just We're woke, right? Are we woke enough to elect a female president? This came up. I got to play a CNN clip, but that's where it came from, where a voter was asked, a Pennsylvania voter. This is a crucial state. Incidentally, that's why the rumor is that she's going to pick Josh Shapiro to be her running mate, because she desperately needs Pennsylvania. It'll be a craven, purely politically pragmatic move. But listen to what this Pennsylvania voter said about Americans, particularly men, and a female president.
Show of hands if you think Harris can win Pennsylvania. So you're more optimistic now than you were with President Biden leading the ticket. There's a head shake.
No.
Tell me why.
No. I don't think a lot of men will vote for Harris. I just don't. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever, I just don't think the majority of men are ready for a female president.
Uh-oh, she said the quiet part out. Can we talk about this? Are you allowed to even discuss it? Are we allowed to? I mean, because the left will lose their minds. Right now, there's a progressive somewhere in Minnesota. I predict maybe St. Paul. They're driving along in their Prius. They stumbled across the Mike Gallagher show on AM 1280, The Patriot. And they've got their Save the Whales bumper sticker on their car. They're happily loving life in their Birkenstocks and their tie-dyed T-shirt. They just got a triple mocha latte frappe espresso from Starbucks for $37. And they just heard on the radio a voter in Pennsylvania say that most men, Republican and Democrats, aren't ready for a female president. You're not allowed to say that. Not in 2024 America. Are you kidding? I love when people say the quiet part out loud. Let's go to Pennsylvania, where Rich has been holding in Pittsburgh, PA. How you doing today, Rich? Welcome back.
Okay, Mike. Hey, I'm sorry. I do think that the Kamala Harris bump is going to come. The youth, clueless youth are out there, and they're mobilizing, and Taylor Swift and all this stuff. We cannot take this for granted. She is the socialist savior they're looking for. And with Obama and everybody giving it, and I can't see how, after they just kicked Biden to the curb, how they're going to kick her to the curb with all the DEI that's out there. I mean,
Well,
I can't see.
I mean, let's go through this. Why hasn't she gotten the bump already? Where's the bump?
I don't think it's mobilized yet. It's only been a week.
Well, and there've already been 4, 5, 6 polls coming out that show Trump still wins. I mean, wouldn't all the rush and the exuberance be reflected in the polls? So you think it's going to take time? And look, let's look at that. Let's go down that. Let's analyze that. You really believe, and I get the dumb progressive young people who are marching around supporting Hamas. Sure, they're excited about her. As Americans, real Americans who may not know much about her, get to know her and learn her record, you think she'll surge? You kidding me?
I think they're going to hide her record and they're going to keep her quiet. She's just going to be the buzzword for the next two after the convention.
They're going to try, but they're not going to. You can run, but you can't hide. And there's such a pushback this time. Look, if we haven't learned anything in the last couple of years, thanks to social media, thanks to Newsmax and all these other, thanks to us, thanks to Salem News Channel, thanks to talk radio, thanks to warriors that are out there, the people I get to be surrounded by. There's a pushback the likes of which I've never witnessed in the 40-plus years that I've been a broadcaster. I have never seen Americans push back the way we have on the garbage that's being shoved down our throats. No, people do know she was the border czar. We will make sure, Trump will make sure that they know that she supported defunding the police. We will be sure we know that she's against fracking and she's against fossil fuels. We're gonna know that she's the most radical extremist in the history of the Republic running for president of the United States. Now, you're right. We can't be complacent. We cannot let up, but we also can't roll over. Look, I'm not sure the DEI argument, I talked about this earlier. you look at Al Sharpton treating Joe Biden. Al Sharpton, we found a clip of Al Sharpton in 2020 treating Joe Biden like a toddler, praising him like he took out the garbage on time or he ate his peas for dinner. This is so humiliating, but it gives you an idea of where we are with DEI. I don't know why we're afraid to acknowledge she's a DEI hire. She is, and the left ought to embrace it. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. They love that. They're all about it. Why do they want to run from it? Let's go down memory lane and watch Al Sharpton talk to the doddering old man about how you done good, Joe, in fulfilling your promise to me, Al Sharpton, that you would get a black woman as your vice presidential running mate.
You and I have talked. You know that I prefer a black female. You've committed to a woman. You've committed to a black woman, to the Supreme Court. I won't press you on that because you've given it to a committee. But for the record, we have had that discussion, and you listened and said you're going to make the decision after the committee raises it. And credible leaders, Melanie Campbell of the Black Women's Roundtable and others have raised it. And part of it, I think, is the sensitivity of black women have to deal with sexism and racism.
I mean, and there's Biden dutifully nodding his head. Yes, Reverend Al. Yes, I did. Yes, I promised I would find a black woman to be my vice presidential running mate. I remember that's about as chilling as the day, and he said it the other night again, promising to cure cancer. This bogus, hurtful, mean-spirited promise to cure cancer. I remember, it gives me chills that he panders that desperately. And he does. And he was pandering, and he did it. He found her. He found Kamala. I checked both boxes. She's black and she's a woman. Look at that. Look at me. Well, hey, embrace it. You need to check out the article in the Washington Examiner. Headline, yes, Kamala is a DEI hire. Shouldn't the left be happy about that? Mike Gonzalez writes a terrific article that points out the obvious. They should embrace it. Own it. She's in the position she's in today because of her gender and the color of her skin. Own it, liberals. Own it, lefties. This is the world you want. That's the heart of DEI. Choosing people because of their race, ethnicity, or sex. Look, we can do two things at once. I appreciate the concern that we alienate women if we say this too much. Women can appreciate it as well. That was a woman who said that men aren't ready to elect a female president. So let's do it all because we got to win, win, win. We got to fight, fight, fight.